Come on, Dorsen. One human against a raider column? What's the kill count, 3? Maybe 4 if you had a good rock?
The lecture hall of the Varith Coalition Academy smelled like recycled air and old ambition. Cadet Kael Dorsen sat in the front row, the only human among 43 species, and he had learned months ago that silence was the safest uniform he owned. Commander Threll Vashtok, a broad-shouldered instructor with ridged crimson skin and a voice like gravel dragged over glass, stood at the podium reviewing the morning's tactical assessment scores. Behind him, a wall screen glowed with a star map, red threat markers scattered across a contested border sector. Today we discuss the Kestrel colony siege, Vashtok said. A minor engagement by galactic standards. 41 hours. One human contractor, embedded as a colony engineer, held the Eastern Trench line alone after his unit was cut off. A ripple of quiet laughter moved through the room. Cadet Ryz Kalorn, a red-scaled reptilian with a permanent smirk, leaned back in his chair. One human? Alone? Against a raider column? He glanced sideways at Kael. Dorsen, you're from Earth. Educate us. What's the kill count on something like that, 3? 4 if he was lucky and had a good rock. The room laughed harder. Even Cadet Sela Maren, blue-skinned and sharp-eyed, allowed herself a small smile, though her eyes stayed on Kael with something closer to curiosity than mockery. Beside her, Cadet Davanasi, green-scaled and wide-eyed, snickered into a sleeve. Cadet Yura Ost, four-eyed and pale, tilted her head with genuine scientific interest, as if kill counts were simply another data point to catalog. Kael didn't laugh. He didn't flinch either. He simply raised his hand. Vashtok, mildly surprised, gestured for him to speak. Cadet Dorsen, you have something to add. I was there, Kael said quietly. The laughter died. I was the engineer, he continued. The record's classified under contractor designation, not military, so it wouldn't have shown up in your case files. But I can give you the number if you want it. Vashtok's ridged brow lifted. He tapped his console. The wall screen shifted. The star map dissolved into an archived combat log, a radar plot of the Kestrel Trench line, red contact points blooming like a rash across the eastern perimeter. A single line of text resolved beneath it in burning letters. Confirmed. 247. The room went utterly silent. Ryz's smirk had vanished. That can't be verified kills. That's a data error. It's not a kill count, Kael said. Not exactly. Let me tell you what happened, and you can decide what to call it. He stood, and for the first time since he'd arrived at the academy, he let himself speak like someone who had actually lived what he was describing. Kestrel wasn't a military colony. It was 4,000 civilians, farmers, engineers, kids. When the raider column hit, our garrison had 9 soldiers and 1 automated turret line that failed in the first 10 minutes. The commanding officer was killed in the second wave. I wasn't a soldier. I built irrigation systems. But I knew the trench geometry because I dug half of it myself. He described the 41 hours plainly, without embellishment, because the truth needed none. How he had rerouted the colony's water reclamation lines into makeshift flooding traps along the eastern approach. How he had rigged the perimeter lights into blinding pulse arrays timed to radar optical sensitivity. How he had held a single choke point with a repurposed mining rifle, sleeping in 15-minute increments, because if the eastern line fell, the raiders would reach the shelter where the colonists were hiding. 247 raiders came through that trench, Kael said. 247 raiders didn't come out the other side. That's the number on your screen. But I want to be clear about something, because it's the only part of this that matters to me. He looked at Ryz, not with anger, but with something heavier. Every one of those 247 is a person I couldn't stop. Not a joke, not a trophy. A colonist named Priya Ashvin died in that shelter anyway from a stray artillery strike I couldn't reach in time. I think about her more than I think about the number on that screen. So when you ask what the kill count is, like it's a punchline, I'll answer you honestly every time. But don't ask me to be proud of it. No one laughed now. Cadet Sela Moren had gone very still, her sharp blue eyes fixed on him with an expression that had shed every trace of amusement. Davanasi's mouth had closed. Even Yura Ost, who catalogued everything as data, had lowered her stylus. Our wise easy Kalorn opened his mouth, then closed it, then finally managed, "I didn't know." "You weren't supposed to," Kael said. "It's not the kind of thing you put on a recruitment poster." Commander Vashtok let the silence sit for a long moment before he spoke again, his gravel voice quieter than the cadets had ever heard it. "The Kestrel action is why the Coalition extended human observer status to full membership review 3 years early. I did not share that context because I wanted you to hear it from someone who lived it, not from a briefing file." He looked at Kael with something like respect carved into his weathered face. "Cadet Dorsen,
Sit down.
You've taught this room more in 2 minutes than I could in 2 months." Kael sat. His hands were steady, but his jaw was tight, the way it always was when he spoke about Kestrel. Beside him, without a word, Sela Moren reached over and set her hand briefly on the edge of his desk, not quite touching him, but close enough that he understood it as what it was, an apology, and something more than that. Our wise easy didn't make another joke that semester. Neither did anyone else. And when the graduating cadets stood at commissioning 6 months later, it was Kael Dorsen, human engineer, reluctant soldier, who was asked to speak first, not because of the number the Academy had confirmed on a screen, but because of the number he refused to let them forget. 1. Priya Ashvin. The one he couldn't save, and the reason he never wanted to answer that question as a joke again.